The 4 Enemies of Discipline and How to Defeat Them. Chapter 1. The Hidden War Within. Right now, as you're watching this video, there's a war happening inside your mind. It's a war between the highest version of yourself, the disciplined, focused, unstoppable force you're capable of becoming, and 4 ancient enemies that have been sabotaging human potential for millennia. These enemies don't announce themselves. They don't wear uniforms. They infiltrate your consciousness so subtly that most people live their entire lives as prisoners of war, without even knowing they're fighting. The neuroscience is crystal clear. Your brain operates at approximately 400 billion bits of information per second, yet your conscious mind can only process about 2,000 bits. This means 99.9995% of your reality is being shaped by unconscious processes. The question isn't whether these enemies exist, it's whether you're going to let them continue controlling your life from the shadows. Think about it. How many times have you set a goal, felt that surge of motivation, only to find yourself 3 weeks later wondering what happened? How many New Year's resolutions have died quiet deaths? How many dreams have you buried under the weight of, "I'll start tomorrow"? This isn't a character flaw. This is the result of being outmaneuvered by forces you didn't even know existed. Dr. David Hawkins spent decades mapping human consciousness, and what he discovered will shock you. The majority of human beings operate at energy levels that are literally destructive to their own potential. They're not just failing to reach their goals, they're actively sabotaging themselves through unconscious patterns that have been running their lives since childhood. But here's what separates the elite from the masses. The top 1% of achievers, the people who seem to effortlessly maintain discipline while others struggle, they've learned to identify and neutralize these 4 enemies. They've developed what Jordan Peterson calls sovereignty over their own minds. They've taken back control of their internal kingdom. The first enemy is so pervasive, so deeply embedded in modern culture, that it's literally rewiring the neural pathways of an entire generation. It's creating what neuroscientists call continuous partial attention, a state where your brain never fully focuses on anything, constantly seeking the next hit of stimulation. This enemy has turned discipline into an endangered species. If you're ready to stop being a victim of your own unconscious patterns, if you're ready to join the ranks of those who have mastered themselves, then make sure you subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell. Because what I'm about to reveal in the next 3 chapters will give you the exact blueprint that elite performers use to defeat these enemies once and for all. The time for excuses is over. The time for transformation begins now. Chapter 2. Enemy number 1. The dopamine hijacker. The first enemy of discipline is the most dangerous because it doesn't feel like an enemy at all. It feels like a friend, a companion, a source of endless entertainment and connection. I'm talking about the dopamine hijacker, and it's sitting in your pocket right now. Your smartphone, social media, streaming platforms, video games, they've all been weaponized by teams of neuroscientists and behavioral psychologists whose sole job is to make these platforms as addictive as possible. They call it persuasive technology, but what they've really created is a sophisticated mind control system that's more powerful than any drug. Here's what's happening in your brain. Every time you get a notification, every time you see a red badge, every time you pull down to refresh, your brain releases dopamine. But here's the crucial part that most people don't understand. Dopamine isn't the pleasure chemical. It's the seeking chemical. It's what makes you want more, not what makes you satisfied. This creates what Anna Lembke calls the dopamine deficit state. Your baseline level of dopamine drops lower and lower as you become dependent on these artificial hits. What used to bring you joy, reading a book, having a conversation, working on a meaningful project, these activities no longer provide enough stimulation to engage your hijacked reward system. The research from Stanford University shows that the average person checks their phone 150 times per day. That's once every 6 minutes during waking hours. Each check fragments your attention, destroys your ability to enter deep focus states, and conditions your brain to expect instant gratification. But here's where it gets really insidious. The dopamine hijacker doesn't just destroy your present moment awareness. It rewires your brain's reward prediction system. Your brain begins to expect immediate rewards for minimal effort. This makes long-term goals, which require sustained effort with delayed gratification, feel almost impossible to pursue. Corey Wayne talks about this in terms of masculine energy versus feminine energy. Masculine energy is about mission, purpose, discipline, delayed gratification. Feminine energy is about feelings, emotions, immediate desires. The dopamine hijacker keeps you trapped in reactive feminine energy, always responding to the next stimulus, never able to maintain the focused masculine energy required for achievement. The solution isn't to go live in a cave. The solution is to take back control of your dopamine system. First, implement what Cal Newport calls digital minimalism. Remove all social media apps from your phone. Turn off all notifications except for calls and texts. Create physical barriers between you and these platforms. Second, practice dopamine fasting. Choose one day per week where you engage in no artificial stimulation, no phone, no internet, no music, no podcasts, just you, your thoughts, and activities that require sustained attention. This resets your baseline dopamine levels and restores your ability to find satisfaction in simple activities. Third, replace the artificial dopamine hits with natural ones. Exercise, meditation, meaningful work, deep conversations. These activities increase dopamine in a healthy, sustainable way that enhances rather than destroys your discipline. The dopamine hijacker is counting on you to remain unconscious of its influence, but now that you know how it operates, you can begin to break free from its control. Chapter 3. Enemy number 2. The perfectionist prison. The second enemy of discipline is perhaps the most paradoxical, because it masquerades as a virtue. It's the perfectionist prison, and it's where good intentions go to die. This enemy convinces you that if you can't do something perfectly, you shouldn't do it at all. Jordan Peterson talks about this in terms of the tyranny of the ideal. The perfectionist prison creates an impossible standard that ensures you never begin, never take action, never make progress. It's the voice that says your workout doesn't count unless it's 90 minutes long. It's the voice that says your business idea isn't worth pursuing unless it's revolutionary. It's the voice that keeps you trapped in analysis paralysis. The neuroscience reveals something fascinating about perfectionism. Brain imaging studies show that perfectionists have hyperactive anterior cingulate cortex, the brain region associated with error detection and emotional regulation. They're literally wired to focus on what's wrong rather than what's working. This creates a chronic state of dissatisfaction that makes discipline feel like punishment rather than progress. But here's the deeper truth that most people miss. Perfectionism isn't about high standards. It's about fear. It's about the terror of being judged, of being seen as inadequate, of facing the possibility of failure. So the perfectionist prison offers you a deal. Don't try and you'll never fail. Stay small and you'll never be criticized. Remain potential and you'll never have to face the reality of your limitations. Dr. Brené Brown's research on shame resilience shows that perfectionism is actually the enemy of improvement. When you're focused on being perfect, you're not focused on being better. You're not learning from mistakes because you're too busy trying to avoid them. You're not building resilience because you're not facing challenges. The perfectionist prison also creates what psychologists call the all-or-nothing mentality. You eat one cookie, so you might as well eat the whole box. You miss one workout, so you might as well skip the whole week. You make one mistake in your business, so you might as well give up entirely. This black and white thinking is the enemy of sustainable progress. Here's how you escape the perfectionist prison. First, embrace what James Clear calls the 2-minute rule. Instead of trying to create the perfect workout routine, commit to putting on your workout clothes for 2 minutes. Instead of trying to write the perfect book, commit to writing 1 paragraph. Progress, not perfection, is the standard. Second, reframe failure as data. Every mistake, every setback, every less than perfect outcome is information that makes you better. The goal isn't to avoid failure. The goal is to fail forward, to extract the lessons and keep moving. Third, practice what I call strategic mediocrity. Deliberately do things imperfectly. Send the email with a typo. Publish the video that's not quite ready. Share the idea that's not fully formed. This builds your tolerance for imperfection and breaks the perfectionist stranglehold on your actions. The perfectionist prison wants you to believe that discipline requires flawless execution, but real discipline is about showing up consistently, especially when conditions aren't perfect. It's about taking imperfect action rather than perfect inaction. Chapter 4. Enemies 3 and 4. The Comfort Zone Guardian and the Identity Prison. The third enemy of discipline is the Comfort Zone Guardian, and it's your brain's most primitive security system. This enemy has one job: keep you safe by keeping you exactly where you are. It doesn't matter if where you are is making you miserable. Familiar misery feels safer than unfamiliar possibility. The Comfort Zone Guardian operates through your amygdala, the ancient brain structure responsible for threat detection. Here's what most people don't understand. Your amygdala can't tell the difference between a physical threat and a psychological one. Starting a business, asking someone out, speaking in public, these activities trigger the same fight-or-flight response as encountering a predator. This is why discipline feels so uncomfortable at first. Your brain is literally interpreting your attempts at self-improvement as threats to your survival. The Comfort Zone Guardian floods your system with stress hormones, creates stories about why you should quit, and makes going back to your old patterns feel like relief. But here's the key insight from neuroscience. Neuroplasticity means your brain can be rewired. Every time you push through discomfort, every time you act despite fear, you're literally building new neural pathways. You're training your brain to see challenge as opportunity rather than threat. The fourth and final enemy is perhaps the most insidious: the identity prison. This enemy doesn't just affect your actions, it affects who you believe you are. It's the voice that says, "I'm not a morning person. I'm not good with money. I'm not the type of person who works out." Dr. David Hawkins taught that consciousness is identity. What you identify with, you become. If you identify as undisciplined, lazy, or weak, your subconscious mind will ensure your actions align with that identity. You'll sabotage yourself to maintain consistency with who you believe you are. James Clear talks about this as identity-based habits. Instead of focusing on what you want to achieve, focus on who you want to become. Don't say, "I want to lose weight." Say, "I'm becoming someone who takes care of their body." Don't say, "I want to be successful." Say, "I am becoming someone who creates value in the world." Here's how you defeat both enemies simultaneously. First, use micro-commitments to bypass the Comfort Zone Guardian. Commit to 5 minutes of discomfort daily, 5 minutes of exercise, 5 minutes of reading, 5 minutes of working on your goal. This builds your discomfort tolerance gradually. Second, use identity-shifting language. Instead of, "I have to do this," say, "This is what someone like me does." Instead of, "I should exercise," say, "I'm the type of person who prioritizes health." Your subconscious mind will begin to align your actions with this new identity. Third, celebrate small wins. Dr. B.J. Fogg's research shows that emotion creates habits. When you feel good about taking action, you're more likely to repeat that action. Celebrate every victory, no matter how small. The Comfort Zone Guardian and Identity Prison work together to keep you trapped in familiar patterns. But when you understand how they operate, you can use their own mechanisms against them. You can make growth feel familiar and discipline feel like part of who you are. If this video has opened your eyes to the invisible forces that have been controlling your life, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell, because I'm going to be sharing more insights that will help you master yourself and create the life you deserve. The 4 enemies of discipline are real, they are powerful, and they are operating in your life right now. But they are not invincible. With awareness, strategy, and consistent action, you can defeat them all. The question is, are you ready to stop being a victim of your unconscious patterns and start becoming the master of your own destiny? The choice is yours. The time is now. Your future self is counting on the decision you make today. Subscribe to this channel if you're ready to continue this journey of transformation, because this is just the beginning of what's possible when you take back control of your mind and unleash the disciplined force within you.